Welcome back, space adventurers. Today, we're exploring how our solar system formed, from tiny dust to the beautiful planets we see today. About 4.6 billion years ago, a huge cloud of dust and gas decided it was time to become something spectacular. So, it spun around and formed our sun and all the planets. Imagine you have a bunch of tiny Lego blocks floating in space. What happens if you start sticking them together? They form bigger blocks, right? That's called accretion, and it's how planets start to grow. But why aren't there rocks falling into planets all the time now? Well, over time, planets like Earth swept up most of the dust and rocks around them. They cleaned up their paths around the sun, leaving less stuff to fall from space. In the beginning, not all orbits were as calm and orderly as they are today. They were more like wild space roads where planets and rocks could bump into each other. An example of this wild time is how our moon was formed. A long time ago, a planet about the size of Mars, called Theia, crashed into the young Earth. This huge crash sent a bunch of rocks into space that came together to form the moon, which is a natural satellite. Natural satellites, like our moon, are heavenly bodies that orbit planets. These crashes and close calls help to clear out and stabilize the orbits. Now, planets move smoothly on their paths around the sun without bumping into their neighbors. As the planets grew bigger, their gravity got stronger. This gravity pulled in more and more rocks and dust, helping the planets grow even more until they had cleaned up their orbits. Gravity is the secret superpower that helped form all the planets and keeps them dancing in space without crashing into each other. Did all planets form at the same time? Not quite. They started around the same cosmic time, but each took a different amount of time to gather their materials and grow up, just like all of us. But why are some planets rocky and others gassy or icy? Well, it's all about their distance from the sun. Close to the sun, where it's hot, the tiny particles of heavy elements like iron and nickel formed the rocky planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Mercury formed first, about 1 million years after the sun, followed by the others over tens of millions of years. It's the closest planet to the sun, about 36 million miles away. Mercury is super speedy. It orbits the sun faster than any other planet, and a single day there lasts just about 59 Earth days. Next is Venus, the brightest planet in our sky. Venus is about 67 million miles from the sun. It's very hot and has thick clouds that cover it all the time. A day on Venus is longer than its year. It takes 243 Earth days to complete one rotation. Here comes Earth, our home. We're about 93 million miles from the sun. It's just the right distance to have water and life. One rotation takes 24 hours, which is what we call a day. Close to Earth, we have Mars, the red planet, which is about 141 million miles away from the sun. A day on Mars is just a little longer than Earth's, lasting about 24 hours and 37 minutes. Watch out for the asteroids. We're flying through the asteroid belt. It's like a space highway with lots of rocky traffic. As we move farther from the sun, it's cooler, which allowed for the formation of gas giants like Jupiter and Saturn. They began forming from ice and gas about 3 to 4 million years after the sun. Jupiter, the biggest, is like the big brother, keeping an eye on all of us. It's so massive it could have been a star. Jupiter is about 484 million miles from the sun. Jupiter has a big red spot that's actually a giant storm. A day on Jupiter is the shortest of all planets, lasting about 9 hours and 56 minutes. Then, Saturn with its beautiful rings. Saturn is about 886 million miles away from the sun. Did you know those rings are made of ice, dust, and rocks? One day on Saturn takes about 10 hours and 42 minutes. Even farther out, where it's colder, we find Uranus and Neptune. These ice giants are made of heavier doses of icy materials and gases, forming around 10 to 20 million years after the Sun. Uranus is tilted on its side. It's about 1.8 billion miles from the Sun and has a blue-green color because of the gas methane in its atmosphere. A day on Uranus lasts about 17 hours and 14 minutes. Uranus has 13 known rings, which are relatively opaque and are believed to be made up of water ice and dark radiation processed organics. Last but not least, Neptune, the farthest known planet from the Sun, about 2.8 billion miles away. It's very cold and windy here. One day on Neptune takes roughly 16 hours. These ice giants are the cool kids of the solar system, always chilling far from the Sun's warmth. Now that we know about all the planets, let's explore why planets spin and circle the Sun, crafting our days, nights, and seasons. Rotation happens as a planet turns around its own axis. Earth does this once every 24 hours, bringing us the sunrise and sunset we see each day. Revolution is our planet's grand tour around the Sun, taking a full year to complete. This journey is responsible for the changing seasons we experience. Our Earth takes 365.25 days to complete one revolution around the Sun. But why do planets rotate and revolve? It all started billions of years ago when our solar system formed from a spinning cloud of dust and gas. This initial spin made each planet rotate, and their paths around the forming Sun became their orbits due to conservation of angular momentum. So, next time you look up at the moon or the stars, remember, they are part of a big cosmic dance that started billions of years ago with just dust and gas. And remember to stay curious.